Hello and welcome to the September installment of Community Focus, presented by the Friends of MCTV. I'm your host, John McPeak. Every month the program features news about upcoming activities in the greater Midland area. This month our guests include folks from Senior Services, Creative 360, and the Cruise and Car Show. Joining us today to lead off our program is Tina Podboy-Loeffner, the Volunteer and Community Outreach Manager at Senior Services. Tina, welcome to Community Focus.
Thank you.
What can you tell us about the services that Senior Services offers and your need for volunteers for those services?
Well, I like to think of our agency as the first stop for someone who's 60 or over in Midland County, whether they're looking for help, something to do, or to get involved. So we've got 5 activity and dining centers in Midland County where people can go for lunch and activities that kind of surround the lunchtime. And then we have lots of volunteer opportunities. And then if someone's looking for help, we have a lot of different services that we offer, again, for someone 60 or over in Midland County. We have transportation that we offer, home care services, care coordination, counseling. We have an adult day program. So again, it should be someone's first place to look for something to do or for help or for volunteer opportunities. And we have lots of volunteer needs currently.
Well, which of the services are currently most in need of volunteers?
Our biggest need for volunteers, and it's pretty much a constant need, is for Meals on Wheels drivers, transportation drivers, friendly visitors, and now we also have a need for some more volunteers for our Team Handyman program.
Well, could you give us a brief description of the duties involved in each of those services?
Okay, so Meals on Wheels, our volunteer drivers use their own vehicles and we reimburse them for mileage, and they deliver meals right around the lunchtime. So that was going to take a couple hours during the middle of the day, about 10:30 or 11 to 12:30 or 1. And again, people use their own vehicles, and then they have a set route that they have to deliver the meals. People that are on the route either get, or everyone gets a hot meal. Some people may also choose to get a cold evening meal, and then we also deliver frozen meals for weekends if that's needed. We especially need drivers in our out-county centers, the Coleman Center and the Greendale Center, but we have a need pretty much at all of the centers, Trailside, Coleman, Sanford, and Greendale.
Now, do those drivers actually interact with the clients when they...
Oh, absolutely, and they love it. That's the best part of it for the drivers, I think. They're taking the meals up to the home, up to the door. The client or someone in their family maybe is greeting them at the door and they're handing the meal over. So not only is it giving them a meal, but it's also making sure they're okay. So maybe someone's a little disoriented today and someone might note that on a route sheet, and then someone's going to check up on them. So it's definitely a friendly smile along with the meal itself.
And then the transportation drivers.
Transportation drivers use our vehicles. We have a fleet of about 10 vehicles that our drivers use to take people to appointments all over Midland County. And most volunteers would take a morning or an afternoon shift, or even a whole day and maybe a couple days a week, depending on what times they're available. And they'll have a set schedule, so they'll have a specific route that they're picking someone up, taking them to Kroger, maybe taking them to dialysis, and then maybe the grocery store too, and to any kind of appointment that they need, any place they need to go, and that's anywhere in Midland County. So the driver might be starting at about 8 o'clock in the morning and going up to Coleman to pick someone up and bringing them back into Midland for a doctor's appointment. And our transportation drivers use our vehicles, either 4-door cars or wheelchair accessible vans. So that's a big need that we have, is someone that can handle a wheelchair in an accessible van. Then friendly visitors and shoppers, we always have a need for that. And currently we especially have a need for male visitors, people that we match up one-on-one with a client who might be socially isolated, maybe doesn't get out much anymore, maybe doesn't drive anymore, and needs some help grocery shopping. And that's usually, the expectation for that is maybe a couple hours a week, depending on what the client needs.
And handyman services.
Our handymen use their own tools and do things in the home to make them more safe and secure. So they're putting up grab bars, raised toilet seats, smoke alarms, carbon monoxide detectors, things like that, again, to make the home more safe and secure.
And those are all 4 services that right now you are more in need of volunteers than some of the others.
Right. And those are pretty much constant. We have so many Meals on Wheels drivers, about 150 Meals on Wheels drivers, maybe 90 transportation drivers. So because there's such a big need, there's so many people that we need all the time, there's always going to be a need for more people to fill those spots.
What's your intake process for volunteers?
So the first step would be filling out a volunteer registration form, and then we set up a time for an orientation. The orientation maybe would take 45 minutes to an hour, and then I do background checks and driver's license checks because we're want to make sure that we have the right volunteers, and we we're dealing with a vulnerable population. And so I do those checks, and then I pass the information on the volunteer on to the specific staff person they'd be working with for further training. So Meals on Wheels are going to learn more about the specifics of the actual Meals on Wheels driving, and transportation, same thing. Pass it on to them. They do further training there, usually a ride along with a Meals on Wheels driver or a transportation driver, so they kind of get the hang of it, know what's expected, and then they decide what they're willing to give as far as their time. We can take somebody who's available once a month or somebody who wants to volunteer 5 days a week. And we have a couple Meals on Wheels drivers that have been doing it for a very long time, and they pretty much do it just about every single day. So.
Now, are all the senior service activities, they take place at Trailside there at the corner of Saginaw and Dublin, or are there other places for the senior service activities?
Trailside is located in our main building, like you said, on the corner of Saginaw and Dublin, and that's one of our activity and dining centers. But we have 5 activity and dining centers in Midland County. So the Mills Center is in the Greater Midland North Family Center. The Coleman Center is right downtown Coleman. Greendale is in the West Midland Family Center. And Sanford will soon be in their new building out on West River Road in Sanford.
How is that coming along right now?
It's coming along okay. Sometime in September. So we're still waiting to see what happens. But I'm going to miss them. It's going to be hard.
It's been a very high energy and active place at the Trailside with the senior or Sanford folks there.
Right.
Now, for folks that want more information, what's the best way to reach senior services?
They can call our main number at 633-3700. Our website is seniorservicesmidland.org. We're also on Twitter and Facebook.
Well, Tina, thank you for joining us on Community Focus and bringing us up to date on the volunteer possibilities at senior services.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Our next guest is from Creative 360 with information on their upcoming events and classes. I got through all of my questions all right. I hope we got